You wake up on Thanksgiving morning and find out Johnny Depp just posted something so surprising, so honest, and so strange that people on the internet can't figure out how to feel about it. That's what really happened. Johnny posted a handwritten note that fans are calling his Thanksgiving manifesto, and the name makes sense. It wasn't like the usual fancy celebrity holiday post. It wasn't a pretty photo or something his team wrote for him. It was real. It had feelings. And it was totally something Johnny Depp would do. If you've been keeping up with Johnny's crazy year, you're not the only one. He's been full of surprises. From showing up places nobody expected to getting emotional in interviews to those mysterious Instagram posts that always make people wonder what he means. And this new message feels like another surprise in a year full of surprises. But this one feels more personal, like we got a peek into his private diary. So what did the message say? Why did it surprise so many fans? And why are some people calling it a manifesto instead of just a Thanksgiving post? Well, there's a lot happening here. And believe me, you'll want to keep watching until the end because there's one sentence he wrote that might be one of the most honest things he's ever shared with everyone. The message was written by hand, a little sloppy and very poetic. That's just how Johnny is. He talked about being grateful, but not in the boring, I'm thankful for my fans way. No, this went deeper. It made you think. It was almost like philosophy. And the way he wrote it made people start wondering if there was something more going on. Was he doing okay? Was he giving hints about a new project? Was this supposed to be taken seriously? Or was he using metaphors like he always does? Fans started looking at every single sentence really carefully. Some people thought it sounded like a guy who's finally ready to let go of old hurts. Other people thought it sounded like someone beginning a new chapter. And then there were people who were sure it was connected to his work somehow. Because Johnny has a way of mixing his real feelings with his creative work. That's part of what makes him so interesting. But here's where it gets even more interesting. The message wasn't just about being grateful. He wrote what looked like a list. Not a list of things to do, more like a life list. A set of personal rules, kind of like hitting a reset button. He talked about the people he wants to keep close, the people he doesn't want to deal with anymore, the things he won't put up with anymore, and the things he wants the world to remember about him. It didn't feel like a normal holiday message. It felt like something he really needed to say. And honestly, who hasn't had a big reset moment in their life? That moment when you sit down and write down everything you're done with. Maybe you're tired of certain habits. Maybe you're staying away from certain people. Johnny just decided to share his version with millions of fans watching. But here's the part most people didn't notice. The timing. This wasn't random. People who know things say Johnny has been quietly working on some stuff. New music, new movie deals. And maybe even a documentary about his life after court case. And when you think about that, the message suddenly makes way more sense. It feels like he might be getting his fans ready for something. Like he's trying to say, this is who I'm going to be from now on. You can like it or not. Instead of sounding like he's breaking down, it sounds more like he's breaking through. But of course, this is the internet, so rumors started flying right away. Some people thought he was saying mean things about past relationships. Others thought he was saying he's going to retire. Some even said it sounded like he was breaking up with Hollywood. You know how crazy Twitter can be. But if you really read the message, none of that is true. There's no attack, no insult, no pointing fingers. It's more like checking in with himself, a moment of seeing things clearly. A man who survived a storm trying to figure out how he wants to move forward. Johnny wasn't calling out people. He was calling out patterns. And that's a really big difference. One thing that really stood out in the message was how it was written. People who work with Johnny say, this is exactly how he writes in his private journals, the ones he carries around on movie sets. Whenever he's getting ready for a big role, he writes like this. Long emotional sentences, poetic words, thoughts that sound like song lyrics or lines from play. So some fans think this message is connected to a role he's working on. Maybe he's getting into character. Maybe he's warming up for something new. But there's more. People in the music business have been saying for months that Johnny is exploring ideas like starting over, forgiving people, heartbreak, and new beginnings in his next album. When you read the Thanksgiving message thinking about that, it almost feels like a sneak peek, like song lyrics, like an album introduction. something you'd find written on a studio wall. There's also one sentence in the message that everyone keeps talking about, the last sentence. It said, "Be thankful for storms. They show you who's still standing with you." And honestly, it's the kind of sentence that hits you whether you're a fan or not. It feels real. It feels like something he earned the right to say. Johnny has faced storms. Public storms, personal storms, career storms. And sometimes the people who stay with you through your storm say more about your life than anything else. That sentence alone turned the whole message into something that went viral. People started quoting it, sharing it, looking at what it means, and even putting it on pretty Instagram posts. And it makes sense, because who hasn't felt that way at some point? Who hasn't looked around after a messy time and realized only a few people stayed? But here's the part that fans don't know about yet. This message might actually be connected to an interview coming up. People who know things say Johnny is getting ready for a big sit-down interview in late December. It'll be his first big one in months. And apparently he'll be talking about life changes and new creative ideas. If this manifesto is just a warm-up, then that interview might be explosive or emotional or both. It almost feels like Johnny is slowly building a new version of himself, more thoughtful, more open, more aware. And this Thanksgiving message gave us a look at that. Now, let's talk about how people reacted, because the internet went wild. Some fans got emotional and were supportive. Some were confused. Some came up with theories that could honestly be turned into movies. But most people's reaction was surprisingly positive. People liked the honesty, the openness, the artistic way he expressed himself, the fact that he didn't make things sound nicer than they were. And Johnny's fans have always connected more with his imperfections than his perfection, because that's who he is. A guy who doesn't pretend. A guy who's comfortable being a little mysterious, a little dramatic, and deeply human. The message also made people think about the way celebrities talk to fans. Most of them post perfect pictures, carefully written captions, partnerships with brands, and holiday greetings that sound like commercials. But Johnny does things his own way. Messy handwriting, emotional sentences, thoughts that sound like poetry instead of something his PR team wrote. And maybe that's why people loved it. It felt real. When you look closer, you start to see Johnny has been leaving clues for months. His recent interviews have been more emotional. His social media posts have been more personal. His public appearances feel calmer, gentler, more settled, almost like he's entering a different part of his life. One that's slower, more peaceful, more artistic. And that's why the manifesto hit people so hard. It didn't feel like a celebrity trying to look deep. It felt like a man who's lived through a storm learning how to breathe again. Another thing we're talking about is how this message might affect his upcoming projects. When actors go through big emotional times, it often shows up in their work. Johnny's best performances came from times when he was deeply connected to his emotions. Edward Scissorhands, Finding Neverland, Donnie Brasco, Jack Sparrow. Each character was shaped by something happening inside him. And if he's in a thoughtful place right now, we might see that show up in his new roles. Same thing with his music. Johnny's music has always been emotional. And if he's writing about storms, starting over, forgiveness, and gratitude, his new songs might be some of his most personal ones ever. Fans are already guessing that this Thanksgiving message might become the opening speech of his next album. And honestly, it wouldn't be surprising. Another surprising theory going around is that this message could be part of a documentary. There have been rumors about a behind-the-scenes project about Johnny's life after the trial. Something raw, something honest, something that shows the real him. And this message definitely has that feel. But whether it's connected to a project or not, one thing is clear. The fans felt something. They related to it. They saw themselves in it. Because everyone has gone through moments when you think about things. Moments when you have to decide who stays in your life and who doesn't. Moments when you need to set boundaries. Moments when you want to start fresh. And Johnny's way of sharing those feelings made people feel understood, because even though he's a huge star, he's been through things we all get. Heartbreak, disappointment, betrayal, rebuilding, healing. The storms may look different for each person, but the feeling is the same. Now, with all that said, let's go back to the main question. What does the Thanksgiving manifesto really mean? Maybe it's marking a new chapter. Maybe it's a creative hint. Maybe it's a message to himself. Or maybe it's all that wrapped up in Johnny's poetic handwriting. Whatever it is, it's powerful. And it shows that Johnny isn't just existing. He's growing. So now the question goes to you. What do you think Johnny meant with this Thanksgiving message? Was it emotional, dramatic, a hint at something bigger, or just a personal moment he decided to share? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I read all of them, and I love seeing how different people understand these moments. And if you want to know more about Johnny's recent projects, behind-the-scenes moments, or the stories fans still don't know, check out the next video on your screen. There's so much happening around him right now, and every week brings a new surprise. And before you go, don't forget to like the video, leave a comment, and subscribe. It helps the channel. It keeps you updated. And honestly, you won't want to miss any of Johnny's unpredictable moments. Thanks for watching, and hey, stay thankful. If Johnny can do it after everything he's been through, maybe we can too.